Hello, Raul here. Welcome back. This is Technique and Execution. I'm going to be talking about range of motion. Range of motion is the capability of a joint or with all the muscles involved to go through its complete spectrum of movement. By nature, we lose our range of motion with aging and with the lack of activity. But there is another factors that play a part on the degree of the range of motion that we all have. The first one and the most common one is the lack of knowledge and awareness. Knowledge meaning that probably someone is not aware of how a specific exercise should be performed, and by awareness you probably know what is the correct way on how to perform the exercise, but you are not aware of the position of your body, so you are not applying those principles properly. The second one is the lack of muscular strength, and this is very common for someone who is a beginner. And the last one is the lack of mobility or flexibility due to lack of activity or due to injury. So how can we make sure that the range of motion that we have in each exercise is appropriate? In terms of awareness and knowledge, I always suggest you to watch the videos and read the descriptions carefully of each of the exercises, especially if they are new for you. These will tell you with detail how far or how restrict should be each movement. Another good practice is to record yourself and watch the video and recognize where are you lacking of movement and take action to correct it. If your range of motion is not great because the lack of strength, my suggestion is to reduce the weight or the resistance of the exercise that you're doing and make sure that you're executing each movement with the right technique, and then you can start building up that strength and increasing the resistance. If the problem is the lack of mobility, I suggest you to again make sure that your technique and your execution is correct. Manage the weight or the resistance that you consider safe. Remember that 6 to 12 principle, and include a routine of stretches at the beginning and at the end of each session to start developing better mobility. You will find on the training app a clear guidance on how to perform stretches before and after your workouts to make sure that you are not only prevent injury, but you are developing better mobility. So before talking about how range of motion can make your exercise or your routine more effective, let me remind you the 4 stages of a movement when exercising. So why range of motion is so important when you want to lose body fat and gain lean muscle mass? The answer to this is that the bigger the range of motion, the better. Because when a range of motion is bigger, you're recruiting a greater amount of muscle fibers. And when you recruit more fibers in certain movement, it means that you are developing strength and you are increasing the chances of muscle growth. So we talk about reduced range of motion. Now we can talk about full range of motion and partial range of motion. There is a lot of research done about this subject. These studies are trying to tell us what type of movement is more effective in order to achieve muscle growth. And according to this research, both methods have benefits. Full range allows us to have greater muscle recruitment, and it's demonstrated that full range increases muscle fiber length. And partial range techniques allows you to keep your muscle under tension for longer. And it's demonstrated as well that partial range techniques help you to increase the diameter of your muscle fibers. Now, for the purposes of your program, I'm going to ask you to use only full range of motion unless you are instructed the opposite. For some muscle groups, it is suggested to still keep the full range of motion, but to avoid locking your joints. This is for safety and effectiveness purposes. So we have two muscle groups where I'm going to suggest you to avoid locking your joint. The first one is legs. So when you are executing any legs exercises, I'm gonna suggest you to avoid locking your knees. This is because we want to protect your knees from injury, and we want to keep the muscles involved for longer time under tension. And the same case is for chest. So when you are executing any chest exercises, I'm going to suggest you to avoid blocking your elbows. This for the same reason. We want to keep your elbows protected and avoid any injuries, and we want to keep the chest muscles for longer period under tension. And on the other hand, the case of back exercises, where it is recommended to find full range or locking the joint, in this case the elbow joint. The same case for shoulder exercises. As you can see on the image, it is recommended to find full extension of the joint. The same case for triceps, where it is recommended to find or reach a full extension of the elbow joint. And the same for the biceps exercises. This is it, guys. This is range of motion. This topic is really important and makes a huge difference on your technique and your exercise effectiveness. And I'm sure it's gonna make a huge difference on your workouts and your results. I hope you're having a good week, and see you soon.